Inner Voice, a heartfelt chat with DrFoojan.
Listen up if you want to promote your personal growth and self-awareness. I found the Foojan app last month and I have been absolutely loving it. I personally have never learned guided meditation, but thanks to this app, I now have learned incredible tools for my own stress relief and emotional self-awareness. Not to mention, there are self-evaluation tools and professional coaching available to utilize however your journey to self-discovery takes you. Join Foojan today and redefine your life one step at a time.
Do you wish to wake up one day and hit the Life Reset button? Life Reset, the awareness integration path to create the life you want by DrFoojan Zeine, helps you navigate crucial life areas, heal the past traumas, and cultivate fulfilling relationships and careers. Life Reset is your guide to a profound journey to reshape your life. Grab your copy on Amazon or Audible now and embark on a path to a more joyous and fulfilled life. Welcome to The Inner Voice, a heartfelt chat podcast. I'm your host, DrFoojan Zeine, a psychotherapist and author and the creator of the Awareness Integration Therapy. So thrilled to have you join me today, and I promise you that you'll hear an insightful discussion. In this episode, I chat with DrBehnam Bakhshandeh. He is an accomplished business manager known widely as a dynamic writer, speaker, personal and professional development coach, and a trainer for over 30 years. He implements passion, visionary leadership skills. He produces extraordinary results in record time. Behnam brings his broad experience and successful track record to each project, whether it involves personal development, implementing customer-focused programs, integrating technologies, redesigning operational core processes, or even delivering strategic initiatives. He's also the founder and the president of Primeco Education. It's a coaching and consulting company that has worked with individuals, teams, and organizations in personal and professional development since 1993. Up to date, he has authored and co-authored and published 10 books on topics related to personal and professional development industry, including organizational development, personal and professional coaching, and high performance. Today, we actually talk about his latest book, The Impact of the Current 4 C's Skills Gap in Organizations. We talk about communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking, and how those are all so much needed in at work, in any industry. For you as a person, as an individual who works in a team every day, 8 hours to 10 hours, you go to work, and how much any of those 4 skills are needed, and how much we all think we have it, and not necessarily that we do, or we have it in the best and efficient way. And then how to collaborate together in different, let's say, departments of a company. How could CEOs or how could mid-management really utilize and really tune in how to foster these 4 C's, 4 skills, in order to be able to have an efficient and successful company running. I'm sure you'll gain a lot of insight through this conversation that I had with Behnam. Now, be sure to subscribe to this podcast, my YouTube channel, and connect with me through my website, foojanzeine.com. You can connect with me in any of my social platforms. And I'd love to hear from you. Go to Foojan app. You'll be amazed. We have about 60 to 70% improvement in every area of life as people are surveying and as they're going through the process of the awareness integration through. It's a guided journaling. It has meditation. It has a lot of skill building in there. And I think you'll really, really enjoy it. And let me know how your experience is. Share with me your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. Now, without further ado, here's DrBehnam Bakhshandeh.
Intentional Parenting, a practical guide to awareness integration theory, written by Dr. Jafari, Dr. Foojan Zeine, and Dr. Manoukian, 3 experts in human development, is your step-by-step guide to raising a healthy child prepared for a culturally integrated world. You're supported in parenting infants to adolescents using the latest evidence-based scientific research on parenting. Order your copy on Amazon now.
Well. Guess what? I have Dr. Behnam Bakhshandeh with me again. It is such a pleasure to have you on the show again.
Thank you, Dr. Fujan. You're so kind. Thank you very much to always be there as a friend and colleague. You always give me opportunity to present my thoughts. Some of them are crazy, but it's worth of listening to.
I think that our audience are kept saying, how come Dr. Bakhshandeh is there? It's not, I mean, obviously we've been friends for many years. I love the dude. He's wonderful, but that's not why he's here every month. Do you know why he's here every month? Because he publishes one book almost every month.
Thank you. Actually, this year, this book was supposedly my last book for 2024, which 4 came out. But now there's a publisher in England that pushing to publish the book that I designed for next year. He wants to publish it now. I said, okay, it's up to you, but please, if you can, publish it next year.
Yes, we have a lot in pipeline. We wrote one together.
Yes.
Another one we want to write about couples. And then you're going to write, you're going to do a second edition on your first book that you ever wrote, The Conspiracy of Greatness. So I'm telling you, everybody, if you're with me and you keep having Dr. Bakhshandeh here, don't think he's talking about the same thing. Every month we're talking completely about another book. So you're very busy. And you know what I'm really impressed with as I was going through this latest book, the impact of the current 4C skills gap in organizations, the specifics of how you write, where I swear to you guys, you can pick up this book, follow it to the T, and it gives you not only definitions, why it is the way it is, the research around it, but practical items that you could use tomorrow. You could use them every single time and get a lot of great result. So, why you went into the 4 C's? First of all, let's define 4 C's. What are they? But how come you kind of like zoomed on to looking at these 4 C's?
Absolutely. Well, as you know, over 3 decades now, I'm working with teams, small businesses, organizations, group, associations, societies. And if I had a penny for each time I heard, I can't find people with a scale. I cannot find people who know how to talk. I cannot have people who can think. And for a while, I listened to it as a complaint that owners or supervisors or foremen or business owners have. But then when you hear something in production, you start thinking, there is a case here. Why everybody talking about it? Different countries, different cultures, different industries, everybody say the same thing. So I started reading about what everybody knows as soft skills. To simplify, it's hard skills is people who know, for example, accounting. An accountant, hard skill is accounting, or they have to be good at math. They have to be good at organization. A welder need to be good at physics, electricity, and concept of welding. You, Dr. Fujan, as a psychologist, your hard skill is the concept that you learn, the theories that you learn, the science of psychology. But nobody talk about soft skills, right? That was first time I heard this concept. The complete concept name is 21st Century 4 C's Scales. Critical thinking, communication, creativity, and collaboration. That was the first time I heard it. Then I started doing the research. That was like 5 years ago, right? Then I realized, wow, what a vast concept, how big it is. I'm just reading you from the book I find printed in 1972 by Fry and Whitmore, right? They distinguished what soft skills is. Important job-related skills that involve little or no interaction with machines and can be applied in a variety of job contexts. They use it in 1972 for United States military, developing soft skills. Now, I find so many descriptions and so many different expectations and different explanation of what a set of soft skills are. So in the research, I found that they define it in two different categories. What is the category of feelings and emotion? They call it self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, social skills. These are undisputed. These are the soft skills that related to kind of conceptual relation to the skills. But then professional attribution are problem solving, service skills, assigning professional workload, all this stuff. I thought, well, this is a job of the hard skills, but no, they are soft skills. And then I start getting interested. I start doing research, how much book or papers or articles I read. And then I talked to local industries, 2 or 3 local, relatively good-sized manufacturers. For example, one of them building helmet for U.S. Air Force. So very sophisticated, right? So I start talking to these people, to CEOs, take them to lunch, and ask them how interested are they if their workforce had access to what I call 4 C's. Some of them even haven't heard about it. Some of them heard about it, and they said, oh, we are interested. And then I start doing research, how much content is available? None. I said, bingo, that is where I want to go after. That was the beginning of the, actually this topic is a topic of my PhD dissertation. And after I completed, that was one of the best work I ever done. And the faculty was so impressed by the work. And then I start, after I publish it, I start doing a book format of it. As you know, dissertation format is different.
Right.
But almost 1.5 years of literature review was like, whoa, how much is there? That's why I printed a lot of notes to share with you about what I found, about this issue. Not issue, this concept. Just to tell you, from the ranking of what industries are kind of reported in the survey I did about which one is the top interest to them, the very top one is communication. Communication is number 1, collaboration, which obviously you can see if you're working with someone, collaboration is everything. And then critical thinking to make decisions, and the last, creativity. So number-wise, it takes 3.5 years. Here I wrote a note about, I talked to 17 different companies under 7 different industries, from food to high education to manufacturing sensitive stuff to construction, many, many industries. Talked to 45 people, divide them on 3 categories of higher manager, middle manager, and the floor manager, which is foreman or supervisors. Because I learned their view of what company need or what they need is different. The floor people more interested in collaboration. The topper manager more interested in critical thinking. Middle manager wants communication because the middleman. It was so interesting. So I'm sorry, I'm so excited about it because it's something that it make a difference when you teach it to people. That I have tried a couple of these companies and they were so impressed about things they don't know, they don't know it exists.
And you said the word they don't know. It's interesting that is a skill that it's part of human base. Like this is every one of us has the capacity to communicate, be creative, collaborate. All of these are part of our capacity. I also think that sometimes we might not have the healthy skills or the efficient skills, or that we might have the skills in one area of our life, but it hasn't necessarily bridged to other areas of life. And then, there are other ways of kind of pulling back and not, for example, whether you're communicating or collaborating in your other relationships, that you have the option of moving back and not communicating or doing different things, or just saying, I don't want to collaborate. But when you are in a company day in and out, 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, working on projects, there's no way of not doing this. So if your skills are not crisp and refined and to the T, then you're not going to be efficient and you're not going to be successful. So it's important to know that, yes, when we're talking about these skills, people might think, well, of course, we have these. No, we don't. We don't have the efficient way of these skills. Yes, everybody's communicating, but that doesn't mean they're communicating effectively and efficiently for, this purpose. Does everybody collaborate? Yeah, you got to collaborate. You start driving on the street, you're collaborating.
Yes.
It's a different concept about intentional collaboration with people.
And even look, Dr. DrFoojan, in the personal level, on the relationship with other people, in family, as a siblings or parents, or even with the intimate relationship with the wife, husband, or significant other. Without communication and collaboration and critical thinking and creativity, it will fall apart. If they don't talk about what's important to them, if they don't talk about what you meant by that, when you talk in this way, what is the message you're not telling me? Collaborate with me so I understand you. Then you become creative in communication and critical thinking, not taking everything personally. It's amazing. So what I did in terms of research and interviewing people, I interviewed the focus group. I create 3 intentions. One was, what is the values that organization place on 4 C's scales, right? 2, what is the impact of 4 C's scale on the team performance? Because when you're coming out of the single owner business, right, then team expanded by 2 people, 5 people, or 500 people. So somewhere lack or having existence of these skills make a difference. And the last one was effective 4C skills training and development. I can go to any company and say, oh, I have a training for 4C skills, but it might not match with what is their needs. At first, we have to find what are the needs in that particular work environment. Then, what are you interested to your workforce being trained on? As I was doing this, Dr. DrFoojan, I realized this question for myself. If somebody asks you, why this? Why are you doing this? I realized for 3 reasons. There is generational gap. Big one. It was amazing in the floor when you see a 22 years old college graduate talk to a 55 years old machinist. The machinist like, go kid, go learn something on the book, right? And the kid wants to tell this older man, let me teach you IT. Let me teach you information that you can work with this machine better. I create the culture, I team them up together. What can you learn from each other? Another one is employability. People who look for scales, look at who knows about this 4 C's scale, who can employ them. And then the personality trait. You haven't heard in any company that said, oh, such and such is the way it is. They are this way. But if they learn out of different personality traits to expand their horizon.
What you said was interesting. I just saw an article, which was very sad, but it alludes to what you were actually sharing. Was that a lot of the companies are no longer wanting to hire Gen Z's generation because they don't know how to communicate nor collaborate. And it was interesting because as you were reading, it's like, well, we were giving them opportunities, but then they were firing them. And then at one point, it's like, I'm not even going to hire them, which is really sad because the whole generation is not going to have job opportunities and learning. And, it's like a mess that would happen. So what I'm also hearing from you is based on your experience, some of it's just this type of a cultural and, generation gap where because the communication is not there, they don't know how to collaborate in a way that they can bring. Each one of them can bring their creativity, experience, they have newness, and together they can do. They can go forward with definitely a result that would be a win-win situation for everyone.
The older generations have skills that none of us younger ones have.
Yes,
that hard-working ethic, that work ethic, which is very much missing these days. That interest to quality work.
Yeah.
Like honest buck for honest hour. These are what is the things that organizations complain a lot.
Yes.
One thing, go ahead, please.
Well, as you were sharing, we're talking about not only defining so that people in the organizations know that these soft skills are important to be tuned in. The other one you shared about was the assessment of what's missing in every area. So out of these 4, possibly in different departments, in different areas, as you said, in a floor, they might need something else, and high executive might need something else, the mid-management might have. So there's a different assessment in every department that needs to be happening, which you've clearly stated it in your book and wrote actually different ways of assessing for each of the 4 C's in the different departments. And then based on those assessments on, as you find what's missing, then you begin training that group for, any of those 4 C's that are lacking, and then having them practice become efficient in any of what is needed.
Yes. Now, I print some figures. I want to read it to you and the audience. When we say 4 C's, obviously we said critical thinking, communication, creativity, and collaboration. Based on the research and literature review, I find so many sub-elements to each of these 4. For example, imperial critical thinking scales are examination, assessment, conjecture, interaction, and solution offering. So when we say critical thinking, somebody will say, well, I always think well. But that's not enough. That was the reason that we could create different form of training and development, focus on different corners, because each work environment missing 1 or 2 or some of these elements. Essential individual communication skills. Excuse me. Being attentive, being clear, being aware, being informed, being empathetic, and being deliberate. Essential individual creativity skills. Organized, problem solver, relationship-oriented, communicative, open-minded, analytic, fundamental individual collaboration skills, having foresight, communication, comprehension, understanding, delegation, and adaptability. When I find all these, I was thinking, okay, that's nice. Now what are you going to do with this? How are we going to create training that cover almost most of this? In damn bang, it was there, emotional intelligence. Because if I line up all these scales, individual scales, look at the four main cluster of emotional intelligence, which is self-awareness, self-regulation or self-management, social awareness, and relationships. They're all there. So my job was to organize them in the way of each of these clusters, how many attribution and quality I can put under each. I came for 8 for each category of. Then I start designing which of these categories go develop one or two of these attributions. So as you acknowledge my structural writing, I look at it like a game. How can I tell people this game exists and how they understand by reading, not leaving the book as soon as they read the first chapter? Has to be clear and precise, holding their hands and walking them through this mess so they see what they can learn. I enjoyed writing it.
And it makes it easy to follow, I think, because we're talking about a lot of conceptual aspects. And when you bring it into structure that you could definitely follow. And it was beautiful because when you were obviously seeing the emotional intelligence part, and I saw how, the model awareness integration fits into that piece.
Yes.
How that kind of creates it. And, obviously the book that we wrote together will bring that in for everyone to see how this model specifically creates the emotional intelligence. And you're right, because when it comes to communication and collaboration, I think that creativity sometimes is first internal. Critical thinking and creativity is a little bit internal, and then it gets external. But communication and collaboration is pretty much in a related concept. It's not just a personal internal experience. It has to happen within a relationship.
Yes.
So it's so important when you're to focus on the emotional intelligence, because if you don't have that in the relatedness, in relating to another human being, then that's where disruptions happen. Disruptions in communication happens, disruptions in collaboration happens. So it's a very much a key in order to really bring and land the rest of the skill into efficiency. Everyone, the impact of current 4C's skill gap in organizations, using emotional intelligence, and that's in order to develop competencies, by DrBehnam Bakhshandeh. Go ahead, you were sharing something.
Dr. Zeine, interesting that out of the research I did and interviews with the higher education, in that 17 company, 3 of them was a college level universities and establishment. They guide me to many material and literature about how much educational system empowering soft skills. And even using this terminology of 4Cs, starting from high schools. I had no idea. I started digging into that, and there's a whole world of like a floodgate of information, which I title it as external elements with impact on causing 4Cs gaps. The first one, I divide them in 5 different categories: motivational and behavioral theories. I'm sure you're familiar with many of them. Then educational system and learning theories. Then political policies and theories. Because if you notice, do you remember President Bush? No child left behind policies. I haven't seen an educator who like this. Like anybody I talk to is against it. Like, what the heck is that? So these are impact how educators teach soft skills to children. Then family and society theories. Family have a big impact on somebody develop interest on soft skills. And then the last one is the others that don't fit in any of these rest of them. But it was interesting that somebody like me look at it, I thought, okay, soft skill you can teach to people. Oh yeah, you can teach them, but how much of it they're gonna learn? Compare with they start from junior high school, bringing these skills in and start working with children. So when they get to the workforce, some of them before to go to college, some of them after to go to college, they are kind of armed with these skills. And I can tell you 100% of the executive and senior managers that I talk to, they are very interested to bring this kind of development to their organization to enhance their work environment.
That's beautiful. When you're talking about the training, so we talked about assessment of it, defining it, assessing, and then taking the assessments into training. And you're talking about not only obviously allowing this training, hoping and allowing this training to go way before somebody goes into a job environment. And even, in junior high or high school. And I think a lot of people start their first experiences, in a sense, in high school era, which they, in their summertime, they start working a little bit and kind of get their first experience. And so that's a beautiful place to go. But in companies, when you start going into training after the assessment that you do, and you're going to try training, obviously, one angle of it is the emotional intelligence. And then from there, there's also all of the skill building in the different angles of the 4 C's. How do you see the training go? And as you said it in your book, for the different levels of the company?
Well, obviously, let me go back a little bit, back to high school. I had no idea how hard it is to add the education and educational topic to the educational system.
Yes.
So many red tapes, so much politics involved, local, state, and federal. Literally, it's impossible to put something new for kids. So what we find we should do is to injunction with the other trainings, start talking about softer skills and talking to people interested.
That's a very, just to say what you were saying is, that's exactly what I'm trying to do in the college courses where I teach. Because, for example, when you're doing the piece of creating, for them to create a project together, in the creation of the project together, then the teachers, this needs to be a teacher training, because the professors, the teachers for the college students or students are the ones that can incorporate any of these skills within the whatever topic they're teaching.
Yes. Now, people have this notion that add a lot of perceptions and meaning to something so simple. Mm-hmm. So when I go to top level training, top level as seniority executives, and tell them I want to teach you communication and critical thinking, they snark a little bit like, okay, come on. How could I not knowing communication and critical skills and critical thinking and being a CEO? Then I start giving them an example, right? And then I learn in sales and marketing. You got to find their interest and put that under microscope, make it bigger for them. I said, how about if you start this training in a company and kind of decrease your turnover? How much money you save if your turnover go from 15% to 10% annually? How much money you save if you put this kind of training in onboarding when you people come in the first 30 days to be trained and have somebody to talk about this? Oh, how are you going to work with the older crowd, older generation? Money. I would tell them, if you go through these trainings and certify and use it, your compensation would go higher. And you should do that because they be more productive. Then I made this kind of figure that I show them. People already have some soft skills. Maybe they don't know they have soft skills, but they have the skills that they are going under this umbrella. I call it creating 21st century workforce. Would you like to be considered as somebody who is 21st century workforce, right? At first, we start from imagine a scale down, softer skills, work ethics, problem solving, positive attitude, and being a team player. Who will say no to that, right? They might think they have it, but when you start really digging into them, they realize how much they don't have.
Yes, and one of those things about these four elements is everybody thinks they already have it and they're efficient.
Yes.
It's only the problem of other people that because others skills.
You need to learn. And then I start empowering them about the technical skills that they have, hard skills. After we finish with you with the soft skill, we're going to use you and your professionalism and your experience to teach other people hard skills, technical, mechanical, mathematical, and computer and digital, which these days you have to add AI to it too. After that, we go to 4 C's. 4 C's become a third level of training: critical thinking, communication, creativity, and collaboration, which bring us to last scale, educational skills. If I tell them you don't have educational skills in the beginning, everybody, I have a master's degree, I have a degree, I have a certification. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it hurts their ego.
Educational skills are divided by reading and writing. I told some CEOs, you don't know how to write email. Here's the example of email you sent me. It's vague, it's not clear. Mathematics, adaptability, and socializing. You can't believe what I hear from people. They said I have workforce that they can't even say good morning. And they don't know they're not saying good morning. They don't know how to socialize. They don't know how to respond to email, especially older generation email. I don't want to even touch that thing. I'm going to write a note. I said, what, you're going to mail the note to upstairs? You have to use it. It's amazing to see each generation, each category of workforce missing some pieces.
And how to bring all of them together.
Yes.
If you get this book, the impact of the current 4 C's skills gap in organizations, it really does have skills for all of it, the defining it, assessing it, how to create training, all the subdivisions of each one of these C's that are there. And it's a very, very comprehensive book where you could really get this and move forward. Who should be reading this book?
I would say senior management, middle management, and as a training for floor management. They don't need to know all of the literature review or research, but they need to know what these 47 other people said about what is missing for them. And they start actually interviewing the workers. I promise the productivity will come up big time. Absolutely. And turnover will go down.
Absolutely. Anything we haven't said that you need for everybody to know?
This is not a fast fix. If you are a senior level in organization, something like this to implement it takes a year or two. It depends on the size of the organization. But at least by reading this, and most important thing, being honest and authentic about in what degree you are not doing this, in what degree you're pushing it under the rug and not interested. Because I had somebody told me, one of these owners of the company, they come back, they're hungry, they come back to work. I said, that is a very bad way to relate to your workforce. It's like keeping them hungry to come back. It's a 19th century management.
Yes, and they're not coming back.
They're not coming back.
Yeah, there's a lot of quiet quitting. If they don't perform well, and they'll just there's a lot of creative ways of earning money now that people will not force themselves to be in a environment or a company that is not flourishing them, is not creating growth for them. But I think it's what's important to understand is that this is a skill that everybody needs to gain. So either they got it, as you said, in their schooling system, in their beginning of workforce, as they're getting into the corporate world, and they try to do this on their own, or that they walk into a company and the company has the environment where it can flourish these. And so, it can show people that they possibly might not know how to do it, and they'll provide training for them so that it creates a cohesive workforce to go forward, and an efficient one, and to create success for everybody that's coming in. Yes,
Dr.
right now.
Fujan, people's research showed in last 5 years, people don't leave jobs. People leave their managers.
Yes.
Because there is no relationship.
Yes.
What I can say that I haven't said in last 45 minutes is the information that I got from these interviews, one-on-one and group interviews. At first, I asked them, what is the best worker? What is the best work environment look like to you? So they start talking about the expectation. Then I ask them, if you would hire someone with these skills, what would you do for them? Right? To keep them going. And then the third one, what are you suggesting should be a training and development to develop these skills? Again, this is not one size fit everything, but it's a beginning awareness that a business owner, a top executive of a company, stakeholders to look what could be done to create a very safe, positive work environment.
And if you are an employee out there, and you can definitely look at these 4 angles of creative thinking, communication, creativity, and collaboration, see if you need more skills and how to go get it. And if you're in a management position, that this book really, really supports you in learning and in implementing that. Thank you so much. How could people find you?
Thank you. My website, Primeco Education, PRIMECO education.com. You can find Coach Behnam, Behnam Bakhshandeh, Dr. Bakhshandeh all over internet and social media, and I will be at your service when you need.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, Dr. Fujan. I certainly appreciate it.
Absolutely. And for all of you who are out there, create an amazing life for yourself and everyone around you. And until next week, bye-bye.
Eliminate stress, reduce anxiety, and decrease depression. DrFoojan Zeine's awareness integration theory has helped thousands like you get incredible life-changing results. The Foojan app gives you her evidence-based treatment in the palm of your hand. Download today.